So, hello and welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews for Hospital Radio and for my YouTube channel. And I'm super excited that my guest today is the very talented Georgina Haig. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, that's a very kind introduction. Thank you for having me.
I mean, had to have you on, and obviously we will talk about Back to the Rafters very shortly because I've absolutely loved the series. But first of all, I just wanted to ask, obviously, how are things in Australia? How is everything, with the last year, everything that's been going on?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I've been living in Melbourne, which I think officially got dubbed the world's most lockdown city. So while COVID cases have been kept really low because of us closing our international borders and lockdowns, it's been a kind of different challenge in a way because we've had a lot less freedoms, I suppose, than people living in other places. But at the same time, we've had a lot less sickness as well. So, it's just been its own unique challenge, I guess. But no, I think everyone's feeling a lot more hopeful. It's coming into summer here and our lockdowns are finally lifting and our vaccination rate's really high now. When I think we're above 80%. We'll probably get to above 90% soon. So yeah, there's definitely hope in the air here in Australia, which is nice. And our borders are about to reopen. So a lot of people are starting to organize overseas trips and it's sort of starting to reconnect with the world, which is nice.
I mean, were you affected much by the sort of work-wise by the many lockdowns that we've had over the last year and a half?
Yeah, I feel like it's been a mix. I've been super lucky in one respect, and then in other respects, I've definitely had my work affected. I work predominantly in film and TV, so in that sense, I haven't been as affected as, say, my friends who work in theatre or music theatre, which, obviously it's been just so difficult for those guys. And but that is starting up again, which is really good. So I managed to film. We were filming Back to the Rafters last year when COVID hit, and then we got put on hold. So we weren't able to finish the season, which kind of pushed everything. Like, it was meant to screen that year, and then it all got pushed another year forward. And but we were able to go back and finish filming that show about 3 months later, so that was really good, and that was what it was good to have work during that kind of very uncertain first year of COVID, where a lot of things were kind of stopping altogether. So that was really good. But I did have things that I had a film that I was meant to do that I couldn't do because I got locked down in a state and couldn't get to this other state, and that was frustrating. But I feel like stuff like that's happened to a lot of people. And then I was also super lucky because I managed to get to the States earlier this year to film a new Netflix show called Archive 81, which is coming out January next year, which is really exciting. So I was lucky that I was able to get a permit and get out back to the States to film that. And that was an interesting experience, being in the States and filming and it was just kind of amazing to see how the production was able to do it safely. A lot of protocols, and but productions are able to do it if they follow those guidelines.
I mean, that must be one thing that kind of worries you a little bit, is when you know that you've got projects that are overseas and it's whether you can get to them. I mean, that must be a bit stressful.
It is. I mean, you almost go, okay, this is exciting, but if it goes away because I can't get the permits or because it's all too difficult, you kind of just have to have that in the back of your mind that could affect your work. I guess it's kind of the choice of coming to Australia was, do I stay here and be close to my family and be kind of in a lower COVID risk environment, I guess, for the health of my family, or do I stay overseas and be kind of potentially closer to work? And I don't know. I think we just decided to kind of base ourselves here for a little bit. But the fact that I've still been able to travel for work has been incredible. And because, it's our livelihood. So it is very worrying when jobs can go away just because of logistics. It's so frustrating. Like, there's so many difficulties in our industry without having to worry about that side of things. So anyway, I feel like I've been lucky in lots of ways.
I mean, one of the projects that I wanted to just briefly talk a bit about is, of course, Once Upon a Time, which, you know, for anyone who saw the show, obviously you played Elsa, who is such a huge character, but not just obviously in that series, but, you know, worldwide. Kids always love that character. So for you, playing that role must have been quite funny. Well, strange and weird. And
it was a joy, but it was sort of terrifying as well. Actually, it was the 10-year anniversary of Once Upon a Time yesterday, I think. So I was thinking a lot about it because a lot of my colleagues were posting, and it was just such a special job. I felt really honored to get to walk in the shoes of a character like that means so much to so many people. And the storyline that I was given was awesome, and they really wanted her to feel that the creators of the show really wanted her to feel real, and that's sort of how they approach all the characters. They want it to be true to how people imagine them from the movies or the original fairy tales, but they also want people to be able to relate to them, and for it to still feel really connected and real. So that was my challenge, I guess, was to kind of create the Elsa that everyone knows and loves, but also to make her a real girl. So hopefully I did that.
And I mean, weren't you on your honeymoon at the time that you either got the role or? That must have been quite a you know, you're sort of obviously having your fairy tale for yourself, and then suddenly the character came along.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. Indeed. Yeah, I was. And I mean, honestly, I almost didn't audition just because I felt a bit bad for my new husband, because I was like, surely I can just put off auditioning for at least a few weeks and go on a honeymoon and not think about work. But when it came through, I just went, I really felt like I could do a good job of her, and I just really loved the show, and I really couldn't not throw my hat, you know, in the ring. So very kindly, my new husband read Anna, and we taped it, I think, between scuba diving lessons. And we were just lucky we could even find internet, because we were on Magnetic Island, which is off the coast of far north Queensland. It's not exactly a super connected spot. So somehow we found internet and sent it out, and then I think I had to retape it. I got a kind of callback. They came back and gave me some notes, and so by the time I got the callback, we'd sort of traveled through the rainforest, and we're then in Port Douglas, and it was the same thing. We had to try to find a way to tape this callback audition. Meanwhile, we're sitting there watching Frozen in our hotel room. It was very kind of Josh to kind of go along with it, and hats off to him, really.
And I imagine as well that when you're doing a character that people, you know and love, you don't want to directly copy the character, but at the same time, you want to make it your own, but at the same time, you want to be true to the original, if that makes sense.
And often you can just pick a few subtle things to kind of make sure that the character's there, but then bring your own element to it. Like for Elsa, it felt really important to have her kind of walk and move in a certain way, and in a way the costume dictates that you have to, because you're in a corset, heels, a split dress, a cape, a 6 meter long cape. You know, you can't really slouch and mope about. Like, you have to hold yourself and you have to move in a certain way. And also, when I was researching her, I'd read that the Disney animators had based her on a ballerina in terms of the way she moved. And I studied ballet for many years, so I felt like that was very helpful to me, to kind of just give her the posture and to kind of think about some of her arm movements and stuff. Obviously, you can't be too stilted with that, because, like you said, she needs to be real. But like, I think once I had her walk down, and also like just the way she held her hands and stuff like that, like that was all really helpful, and hopefully made her seem like a queen. That was one of the first notes I got on my first day on set. I was so jet lagged and nervous, and like I'd just flown in. They'd kind of built this costume based off my measurements, but hadn't actually done a fitting. Like, it was crazy. And I was, on set, and all the people were there, producers and directors and stuff. And I think the first note I got was, can you make her more kind of queenly? So I was like, yeah, sure, yeah. So, they obviously really wanted that quality to her, because she's a queen, and she's, and that's significant because a lot of the other characters are princesses, and the queens are often evil, but Elsa was kind of like the first good queen, and so I wanted her to feel like a queen.
Now we have to talk, of course, about Back to the Rafters. For me, I mean, I absolutely loved Back to the Rafters, and when I found out that it was coming back for a new series, it was exciting, because it obviously had been off the screen for a while. So for you coming into it, obviously completely new. I mean, were you a fan of the show originally?
It's funny. I hadn't actually seen much of it, and it was because when it originally screened, it was right when I was doing drama school, and I mean, we were like, at what? But they just sort of flog you. Like, you're at school from 9 till 6 every day, plus doing theatre shows, and so you're not watching a lot of TV. But I knew about how, obviously I knew how popular it was, and how much people loved it, and I was such a fan of all the cast and the creators and stuff like that. So I immediately went back and watched as much as I could to catch up, and loved it. Especially loved the pilot. I thought it was so moving. Just beautiful.
And I mean, obviously taking over the role from Jessica, was there any kind of nerves that people wouldn't warm to you, or that they would feel like, you're sort of taking over from her or something? I mean, that must be difficult.
It was. I mean, you're basically, trying to create a character that, someone else has created and made so well loved. And I think I just wanted to really do that character justice and make sure that everyone that the fans were happy. I don't know. I think I just accepted that you can't imitate someone else's version, and for a show like Rafters, you really have to bring yourself to it, I think. So it was just when I read the script and saw what the story was about, and it was about, Rachel being pregnant and getting pregnant overseas, and then trying to deal with telling her family and dealing with like issues with her mum. I mean, I just related to so much of it because, I had a child when I was in the States, and I just immediately knew I could make it really real, and that I could bring my own essence to it, I guess, whilst staying true to the original feeling of the character. So I think I felt confident in myself, but I was still nervous because it just is a nerve-wracking kind of situation. But like the ensemble, that Eric and Rebecca, who played my parents, like they were so supportive, and answered any questions I had, and never for one second made me feel like I was an outsider. Like the whole cast were just so welcoming, and so that was helpful.
And I mean, to work on a project with people like, you say, Eric Thomson, Rebecca Gibney, who are like, Australian royalty, really. I mean, it must be really exciting to work alongside these amazing actors.
Yeah, it's awesome. It is. It's so awesome and inspiring, because they are absolute pros. And not only that, from like an acting perspective, but from the way they carry themselves and the way they kind of conduct themselves and create such a positive culture at work. And that's something I'm really passionate about, because I think, I've worked on a lot of shows now, and you see the effect that the people who are like 1 and 2 and 3 on the call sheet have on the kind of overall culture of the show. And I just think it's so important for actors to kind of just create as much of a positive environment for everyone as possible. And yeah, they just did that all the time. And yeah, it was very inspiring and heartening to see.
And also, we must mention, of course, Willow, who played your younger
I know,
sister.
isn't she great?
I mean, just amazing. And she really does represent the younger generation, because she has the kind of the same thoughts and the same views that kids nowadays are having. So, I mean, to work with such a talent must have been amazing.
Yeah, she was amazing. She really was. And yeah, she was kind of very similar to the character in many ways, like kind of wise beyond her years, and very smart, and yeah, a bit cheeky, and yeah, she was really fun to work with, and very professional for, you know, someone her age. It's always amazing to see when you see these young people on set conducting themselves in such a way. And yeah, she was gorgeous. Yeah.
I mean, if would you like to see the show return? Because obviously we've had 6 episodes, and I think it's got the audience wanting more. So would you like to see more?
Of course, I'd love to, but I mean, we're up to Amazon. It's yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but it would be great to do more, because it's just such a great group of people, and yeah, the reaction has really been so positive. So we'll have to wait and see.
Now, you've had the pleasure of doing some amazing roles in your time, but for you, has there been a personal favourite, one that you just loved more than others, or is there something you would like to do going forward that you haven't done yet?
The job I just did in Pittsburgh for Archive 81 was definitely up there with one of my favourite roles. She was this awesome, I can't give too much away, but it was all set in the 1920s, and she's, yeah, this kind of upper class socialite with a lot going on, and it was so much fun to do. And she was so layered and yeah, just beautifully complicated. And getting to do something set in the 20s with the costumes and the hair and, you know, the sets, and it was just great. Yeah, obviously playing Elsa was, it really was so special for so many reasons. And it's funny because I recently saw the musical in Melbourne, and it was so emotional, because I just think, you know, I was watching someone else portray Elsa in this whole other way, but it really struck me that I'll always feel so connected to her, and you know what she represents, which is like this outsider trying to overcome her own anxieties and fears, and you know, and that's something that affects so many people. And yeah, I think getting to play Elsa and getting to connect with what she represents, getting to wear that blue dress, it would just, I'll never ever forget it, you know.
Would you ever like to do the musical Frozen?
I am not talented enough to do it. I'm not really a singer. I was a dancer, but gosh, I there's no way I could belt out that amazing song and do it justice, unfortunately. Otherwise I would love to do it. Yeah. Has Frozen the musical been on in London?
I think there has, I must admit. But
yeah.
I must admit, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think there has been.
Yeah, probably.
So I mean, have you been, you know, have you ever been to the UK in the past? Have you had a chance to come over here?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel very connected to the UK. I did a gap year straight out of high school, which is, I think it was originally an English program. So I was teaching English in Hanoi in Vietnam, and there was a lot of other English volunteers there, and I became super close with a couple, and went back to England and spent time with them. And I had an English boyfriend for a while, who was just the loveliest person in the world. If he's listening, hi. Yeah, so I actually spent a lot of time in Bristol, because he was at Bristol University, and so was my friend. And anyway, yeah, so I spent time there, and then spent a bit of time in London visiting, and would absolutely love to base myself in London one day for a stint, or work in the UK in any way. You know, Bridgerton 2, 3. I'm here. If anyone needs me, guys. Got
to make it happen.
Yeah, please. I'll be there. I'll pay for my own flights and just live in a tent in Hyde Park. Just put me on that show.
Now, I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure talking to you, but before we go, is there any messages you'd like to give to anyone who is currently in hospital, obviously not having the best of times? Anything you'd like to say?
I would just like to say, I don't know. I hope the food's okay. I hope you're okay. Please read some good books, watch some of your favorite TV shows, just connect to your, wonderful world, because even if you're stuck in a hospital, you can still go to other places in your mind. And I don't know, just hang in there, and this too shall pass is probably a helpful, saying that, this isn't forever, and there's light at the end of the tunnel, and be nice to the nurses. And if any nurses are listening, you're all angels. Just, aren't they? The amazing
they really
things
are.
that
they really
healthcare
are.
workers are doing right now. Just so incredible. And they must all be so exhausted, and yet, they show up and do such amazing work. So thank you to all the healthcare workers too. Just incredible.
Perfect. Now, I just wanted to say, Georgina, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for giving up your time. Of course, keep safe. And hopefully we'll speak again one day.
Yes, of course. Anytime.